Good morning. My name is Betty Williams. I'm president of the Madison County, let me get my titles right, the Anderson Parks Department. And I'm so glad to welcome you this morning and have each and every one of you all with us. This is a very important dedication that we look forward to each and every year in honoring the inductees into our community park. We have now 55 bricks that we have recognized people in our community that have served very well in this great city of Anderson. So at this time, I'm going to get the program started, and up and coming, we will have our prayer led by Pastor Cecil Golder from Anderson Zion Baptist Church.
Thank you, Betty. Good to see you all this morning. If you would bow in a word of prayer with me. Gracious God, we thank you again for this day that you have given us. Beautiful day amongst beautiful people for a beautiful occasion. God, we thank you for Mayor Broderick, Betty Williams, and this entire staff, oh God, who have come together to honor those who have lived, loved, and served their community. God, we thank you for their selfless acts of kindness, oh God, to make our community better. And God, we just thank you for this time shared together, and we ask that you bless it in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Golder, for that message. At this time, we will have greetings from Mayor Thomas J. Broderick, Jr.
Thank you, Betty. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see we have a nice day for this. This is always an exciting event where we have the opportunity to honor the legacy of some great leaders that we've had in our community that span a large array of pioneering, if you will. Pioneering to help build our community to what it is today, whether it was in education or business or community service. And all of those of you that are here today who are here representing your family members, I know that you know very well how important they were, not only to your family, but to this community. And I believe today, as we install these bricks, I believe this brings us to 55 folks that have been recognized and have been memorialized here at this park. So hopefully as your kids, your grandkids, as they grow up, you can remind them of the great things that your family members did, and also have them come out and see the bricks and remember back and recall how important they were to our community. So on behalf of the City of Anderson, I want to welcome all of you and congratulate you for the legacy of your family and what it means to our community. Thank you so very much.
I will read the bios of what was sent in on each one of our nominees, and once that's completed, if a representative would come up and receive the family brick from the mayor, and if you would like to say a few words, you're welcome to say a few words. If you're shy at the mic, you don't have to, but you are more than welcome to say whatever you would love to about your loved one if it's not mentioned in the bio. The first one we have is Meredith Church. Meredith led a life of service to others. He served in World War II with the United States Army Air Corps, where he assigned with the Bomber Group. After his service, he started what became a 45-year career with General Motors. He concluded his career in January of 1985 as the personal director of Fisher's Guide Division of General Motors. Meredith held numerous leadership roles in the community. One in particular was the Boy Scouts of America, where he received the Silver Beaver and the Silver Antelope awards from them. His natural leadership abilities were called upon by many organizations during his life. He held numerous leadership roles in several churches in the community and was a member of the First United Methodist Church. He was active with the YMCA in Anderson, the Personal Association of Muncie, Delaware County, the Society of Retired Executives, and the Tourist Club of Anderson. He especially was committed to his services with St. John's Health System, which is now Ascension, where he served as chairman of the board for many years. Meredith's dedication to serving others over his lifetime in our community is why we recognize him as a public servant. Our next is William Art Darlington, community pioneer. William Art Darlington was the president of the Anderson Aviation for 50 years, from 1937 to 1987. In 1983, the Darlingtons partnered with Anderson College and created a civilian pilot program. Due to the efforts of Art and his family, the city of Anderson is fortunate to have an airport in our community. He was a member of the First Baptist Church, Kiwanis Noon Exchange Club, where he was a member and past president, Aviation Association of Indiana, and a member of the National Aviation Trade Association. He was founding president in 1948 of the Indiana Aviation Trades of Association Quiet Birdman, Fraternal Order of World War II Pilots, OX-5 Aviation Organization. He was also awarded the Aviation Man of the Year in 1963. He was also a commercial pilot. Art will be forever remembered as admired by his family, friends, and acquaintances for his dedication to the aviation community in Anderson and around Indiana.
Well, it's been nice being here today. It's good weather, good aviation weather. But I know Dad. Well, my whole family, but Dad worked the hardest to bring aviation into the town and to bring some commercial aviation and a lot of firsts in the industry. We had our first airport was out where Applewood Center is, and we lived there. My grandmother owned that. Up until we moved in 1960 to the location that the airport's at now. And we've done a lot of stuff in the community. My dad was really big in the Kiwanis Club, and he got a lot of attention for all he's done. Anderson grew a lot because of the General Motors connection. You know, we flew a lot of air cargo and passengers for GM, and really enjoyed doing it. It's been great to serve Anderson and all the mayors along the way and everything. It's been pretty good. We've done good. I want to thank you very much.
Our next is Charles Dickman, community servant. At a young age, Charles Dickman knew the value of hard work. He carried a paper route for 10 years and won an all-expense-paid trip to the 1933 Chicago World Fair for attaining 40 new subscriptions. Charlie served 4 years and 3 months during World War II, where he earned multiple medals and awards for his service. He was an attorney of law from 1951 until he retired in 2013. Charles joined the first history of the Anderson Rotary Club that started in 1963. Along with earning multiple service awards, he received Rotary Half Century Award in 2002. He was the president of the Wilson Boys Club for 3 years, which were 1973, 74, and 75, president of the Madison County United Way in 1980, and chairman in 1997. President of the Madison County YMCA for 3 years, and the general chairman, where he helped raise $600,000 for the United Way. Along with his wife Hazel, they donated $40,000 to that campaign alone. President of the Anderson Area Chamber of Commerce in 1985, president of the Anderson Symphony Orchestra Association in 1987, president of the Anderson Fine Arts Foundation in 1988. He was a member of the First United Methodist Church, where he served on multiple committees. He was director of the Madison County Community Foundation for 9 years, served on the advisory board of the Madison County Citizens Concern for Community Values, named Top 20 Movers and Shakers and Man of the Year by the Anderson Herald Bulletin. In 2014, the park board renamed the Anderson Town Center Park to the Dickman Town Center Park. On March of 2014, after Charles and Hazel created a $100,000 endowment, which continues to support the updates to the park today. Charles and Hazel Dickman created a total of 13 endowments, totaling $900,000, and multiple major gift projects in the community that totaled giving back $1,300,000. Charles lived by the quote, "Achievement in all things is more than a right, it is a duty." We have Amos Jackson Jr., community servant. Amos was a former Madison County Council member. He worked at Delco Remy for 41 years. Amos was a member of the Allen Chapel Church, where he was a steward for 17 years. He was a county councilman for over 10 years, Democratic Precinct Committeeman for 23 years, and ward chairman for 8 years. During his time as committeeman, he was instrumental in organizing and helping people make their voices heard in elections by offering rides to polls and hosting a May breakfast where citizens could learn about the local politicians running. Amos was a member of the Peerless Masonic Lodge 32, Elzora Temple 124, where he held many positions and served on the Board of Trustees for 9 years. He served as Lieutenant Commander of the Scottish Rite 320. He was also past deputy of the OSIS of Indiana and former member of the Elks Lodge. Amos Jackson Jr.
I am Stephen Johnson. I am the oldest grandson of Amos Jackson Jr. And I want to just tell you a few things about him. He was a man, while on campaign trail, he would never do mudslinging. And I called him Papa. I asked Papa, I said, "Papa, why is it that all the other candidates speak about their opponents, but you won't speak about them?" And he told me, he said, "Well, every time that I open my mouth, I want them to know what I'm going to do and what I'm about." He said, "If I speak about my opponent, then I'm advertising for him." Amos Jackson was a man who really cared about people. Once in my younger lifetime, I was dating a girl, and she took me over to meet her parents. And back in those days, people were known by their family and how their family interacted with everybody. When I told the man that I was Amos Jackson's grandson, he said, "Oh, Mr. Amos," he said, "when I first came to this town, I asked people who should I go to see to try to find a job and to get situated. They said, you got to go see Mr. Amos." He said, "Mr. Amos pointed me in the right direction so that I could get a job. He sent me to the right trustee to give me a little money in my pocket to help me. He sent me to the right people that would allow me to live in their home until I got established." He said, "Anytime, if you need anything," he said, "you come and see me, because Mr. Amos helped me and he helped a lot of other people." During his campaign times, I would be with him all over Madison County. We'd go, and amazingly, people of color didn't go to the Silver Dollar in Elwood, but Papa did. People of color at that time didn't go to Perkinsville to Bunge's, but Papa did. And he was affiliated with lots of families in this community that had power. The Brodricks, the Newmans, the Pankels, the Armingtons, Papa knew all of them. And he didn't stop trying to help other people. He taught me about how to have compassion for other people, how to help other people. He taught me that I should love everybody. And number one, he taught me what integrity meant. He didn't just speak it, he lived it. Now, a lot of accomplishments were spoken about for his community, which was in the early part was, I'm trying to think of the, was it Ward 3 and Precinct 4, I believe it was. I might have those mixed up. But he was always reelected because he worked for those people. When they needed something, he made sure that he could go to the right people so that they could get supplied with what they needed. As was mentioned before, he was a precinct committeeman, he was a councilman, he was a county councilman, and he was a county councilman at large. My grandfather, Amos Jackson Jr., contributed a lot to this community, and I'm proud right now to say that I am his grandson, and I ask you to keep him in mind in different times. And as a representative for the family, his daughter Lillian is here, and I just say thank you on behalf of the Jackson family. Thank you very much.
Our next honoree is Dr. T. Franklin Miller, community servant. In 1956, Dr. T. Franklin Miller was presented with an honorary doctorate of divinity degree. He served in the Church of God as an evangelist, pastor, and secretary of home missions. For 21 years, he was an executive secretary and treasurer of the Board of Christian Educators of the Church of Gold and executive of the National Youth Fellowship. He was president of Warner Press, the publication board of the Church of God, until his retirement. He was once director of the Center for Pastoral Studies of the AU School of Theology and in charge of continuing education for ministry. He also taught classes at the SOT. He was editor of the Christian Leadership. He authored 6 books, more than 50 Christian booklets, and in June of 2003, released his latest books, Life is a Journey, and How Big Are Your Blankets? In June of 2002, Dr. Miller and his wife received the Anderson University's Heritage Award. He was on the board of directors of the Wilson Boys Club, past president of the Anderson Chamber of Commerce, member of the board of directors of the Executive Council of Church of God. He was vice president of the YMCA. He served as a member of the advisory board of the Salvation Army, past president of the Anderson Rotary Club, served as president of the board of directors for the United Way, and served as chairman of the United Way campaign. He was president of the Comprehensive Health Planning Council of Madison County. Thanks to Dr. T. Franklin Miller, community servant.
I'm Spencer Spalding. I'm T. Franklin's son-in-law. I called him Dad and loved him dearly. The warmth and acceptance into the family was one of the great privileges of my life. T. Franklin loved this community and believed in it and believed that everyone in the community mattered and belonged. And he had a lot of different things that he was involved in, had particular ability if there was funds to be raised to put the touch on you and make you want to contribute. A warm, loving, caring community servant. I'm honored to be his son-in-law. His daughter, Sue, is here, and his nieces and son-in-law, one of the nieces, all here, proud to be part of a family that cares about this community. So thankful to be connected to T. Franklin and all the things that he attempted to accomplish in the community for everyone's good. So thanks so much.
Our next honoree is Primus Mutri Jr., community advocate. Primus Mutri's first job in Anderson was at the Westside Community Center. After being at the center for a few weeks, he had an idea to rename the center the James W. Geter Memorial Center. In 1955, he was the director of the Wilson Girls and Boys Club. He worked at the city building under then Mayor Lawler. He was a teacher at the Anderson High School, teaching English to juniors and sophomores. He was a columnist for the Herald Bulletin for over 20 years. Primus was an active member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Primus was involved with the United Way, served on the Wilson Girls and Boys Club, Herald Bulletin Board, Impact Center chairman of the board, where he wrote the bylaws for the center. Primus was instrumental in the Jumping Johnny Wilson sculpture at Anderson High School. He was a treasured member of the Church of the Living God. Primus's life's work carried the mission statement to develop leaders, promote brotherhood, and academic excellence while providing service and advocacy for our communities. Thank you, Primus Moutrie, Jr.
My name is Carolyn Johnson Moutrie. I'm Primus's wife, and he was a great man in my estimation. He was surrounded by a lot of people. He hails from Chicago. He knew Harold Washington, Oprah Winfrey, Walter Payton, Gale Sayers. As a matter of fact, he wrote Gale Sayers' acceptance speech when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame. But, you know, these people had money, but Primus didn't care about money. He cared about people. So when he came to Anderson, the first thing he did was rename the Geter Center, the West Side Community Center. And so whenever he saw something that needed to be done, like Jumping Johnny Wilson, he said, we need to do something for that guy. And a statue was erected. So he was a romantic, and he was a comedian, but he didn't care about money. He cared about people, and he wrote for the Herald Bulletin for 25, 30 years. And a lot of people can't do that. So I think he would be greatly honored to have been included in this. He was a great community leader, and he would have felt honored. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Our next honoree is Elizabeth Pistol, community servant. Elizabeth found her passion in many duties at Anderson University and as a teacher at Alexandria and Anderson High Schools. She was the church secretary at the Park Place Church of God. She taught English and psychology at the schools. She displayed a special personal touch with students where the family would hear throughout the years, I had Mrs. Pistol as a teacher, and she was the best teacher I ever had. One year, she crocheted a hat for each student in her homeroom class. She also was in charge of creating an Easter convo for the entire school. Elizabeth authored several cookbooks and was known throughout the church as the top chef. She was a member and president of the Faculty Wives at AU, member and president of the Women of Church of God, led many conferences, retreats, and was a member of the Anderson Association of University Women. She led many Tri-S groups, which was Service, Study, Share, abroad. She was also a member of the American Federations of Teachers. Elizabeth Pistol, community servant. Our next nominee is Benjamin Benny Santiago, public servant. When Benjamin Benny Santiago first came to Anderson, he became involved in the prison ministry at the Pendleton Reformatory and Pendleton Correction Complex. Benny was also named chaplain for the Madison County Youth Center. In 1991, he founded the chaplaincy program for the Madison County Sheriff's Department, where he served as a senior chaplain for 30 years until his death. During that time, he also founded Project Hope, a leadership mentoring program for at-risk youth from the ages of 13 to 17 years of age. Benny was one of the founding members of the Indiana Sheriff's Chaplaincy Conference. He was also involved in numerous community service programs, including the Anderson Noon Lions Club and the advisory board for the Salvation Army. Benny was also involved with the city's annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration since its inception. Benny received the 1994 Outstanding Achievement Award by Indiana Governor Evan Bayh, the Dr. Martin Luther King Legacy Award, and the Black Chamber of Commerce Weatherly Community Service Award. To know Benny was to love him. He enjoyed life to its fullest. He never met a stranger. He loved Jesus, he loved his wife, and he loved his family. He loved people, and he loved his community. Benjamin Benny Santiago.
Benny would be so happy to have received this. And if you knew Benny, you knew how much he loved this community. From coming to Brooklyn to Anderson, he adopted this as his home community. He loved people. If you met him, you couldn't get away from him without a hug and without him telling you about Jesus. Whether you wanted to hear it or not, that was just who he was. And he felt like the best way to make changes in this community was to change from the inside out. So he dedicated his life to serving the people who needed to hear that. And so this would be just really special to him. And I just want to thank all of you for doing this. He loved you guys.
Our last honoree is Gene Yates, community pioneer. Gene Yates was a lifelong resident of Anderson, a graduate of Anderson High School, where he was a member of the 1940 Indiana basketball all-star team, as well as a 4-time state championship in the half mile, which is 880 yards, run. He was in the World War II, where he served with the parachute infantry, earning a Purple Heart and a Bronze Heart for bravery. After his military service, he graduated from Ohio State and returned to his hometown of Anderson. He served as chairman, director, and president of the First Savings and Loan Association until his retirement in 1987. Gene championed reforms and was instrumental in making financial institution standards, which earned him 2 coveted Sycamore of the Wabash Awards. In his volunteer capacity, Gene gave his time to serve the Anderson Center for the Arts, the Saving Institution Marketing Society of America, Junior Achievement, Anderson Chamber of Commerce, City of Anderson Planning Commission, Community Hospital of Anderson, Madison County Heart Association, the Arts Council, Historical Society, Service Corp of Retired Executives, and many more. Most notably, he was one of the founders of the Leadership Academy of Madison County. Gene was a man who lived a full and rich life of service that was shown through his dedication and passion for the community of Anderson. He was a stellar athlete, decorated World War II veteran, businessman, distinguished public servant, tough, talented, charming, with a hearty laugh and a terrific sense of humor. We remember Gene Yates as a community pioneer. I kind of skipped over recognizing our committee members for this event. It's an honor to sit on here and look back at the rich history of people who have been leaders in our community, who have been servants with not requesting any recognition back for doing just the right thing. So I know that you're very proud of your loved ones, as we are proud of them for being the community servants that they have been. It was fun. Part of the committee, we had our board president, Betty Williams, served on the board. We have Jack Kiesling, Tom Tackett, and then Judy Streeter, along with myself. So it was an honor to select your family members to receive this honor this year. And we will also be doing this again next year for continued servants of our community. I will have Betty Williams come up to conclude our program.
Let's give Jama a round of applause. Thank you, Jama, so much. It's been a pleasure. I will say one thing in regards to Gene Yates. His family told me to let everyone know that they are very appreciative of this honor, recognizing their dad. They all live out of town in Atlanta and Florida, and they couldn't be here, but they are grateful to us for recognizing Gene Yates. And in closing, I just want to thank you all. We have refreshments. It's been a pleasure working on this committee. It's very dear and honoring for me to be able to recognize and know and read and hear about so many wonderful people who have served this city of Anderson. So thank you all for being the families of some great and honored people. Thank you again, and have a great and safe day.